Hey everyone, this is a review of the Kreg adjustable shelf pin jig. This thing is great if you want to make your own cabinets or if you want to add existing holes to your already adjustable shelf cabinets. So here's everything that comes with the kit. You've got the drill guide itself, you've got a fence that goes on either side, you've got an attachment piece that can be used to hook it up to another drill guide. You've got a referencing peg which gives you even spacing when you have to move the drill guide when you want more than 6 holes. You've got an Allen key for setting the stop collars on the drill bits, screws for attaching these two, and then a sampling of 4 shelf pegs for whichever drill bit diameter that you pick. The drill bit diameters, you get one of these two. This is the 5mm, this is the 1/4 inch. The really cool thing about this is there's a step down shoulder here on the 5mm, and the outside diameter of this shank portion is a 1/4 inch. So they both use the same collars in the same drill guides, so they're interchangeable. And if you want to buy one of these and buy an extra drill bit of the other size, you can do so. Or you can buy just one of each of these kits and get both sizes of drill bit. These holes are spaced at the standard 32mm distance apart. It looks like 1 1/4 inch, but it's not. There's an extra 1/100th of an inch in there that will really throw off your measurement if you do a really long run of these and assume they're 1 1/4 inches. So know that they're 32mm and plan for that. The fence can be attached to either side. It just clips right in and snaps in place, and then you can put it up against the edge of the cabinet when you're doing this and have a consistent depth setting for these. You can put it on the other side. This side is 2 1/8 of an inch from on center from the edge of the whatever you're putting it on, and then this side over here is 31/32 on center from the edge of the workpiece that you're using. I don't know why Kreg says 2 inches and 1 inch because it's not exact. It is 2 inches to the edge of your shelf pin for this side, but it's not 1 inch to the edge of your shelf pin for this side. You can also take the guide off inside the face frame and reference it up against the face frame, which will be sitting, right here. In a case where you do that with a face frame already on this is if you've got an existing cabinet that you want to add holes to. The spacer pin is really nice. It's got a 5mm end and a 1/4 inch end, and then it's got a rubber gasket around the center here, which helps it not slide around when you have it in there. See, it's holding on, and it's a snug fit, and it'll actually drop in there, but when it gets to that rubber gasket, it'll stop it and hold it in place. So that's a good design, and you don't want it too snug because you don't want to get this stuck in the drill guide and not be able to pull the drill guide off of here. To put the spacer in, I recommend putting it in a hole first and then putting the drill guide down on top of it. It's just a little bit easier that way. To set the depth of your collar, there's a nice little feature on the back here where you just place the drill bit in and push it so it's up against this edge and tighten down the collar. And this leaves it so there's a 1/2 inch depth that you're going to drill when you put this through the collar right here and it sticks out the far side. So you've got about a 1/16 inch with this little brad point that you're going to lose to the depth, and then you've got roughly 7/16 for the depth that you can put these pegs in, so you've got a little bit of wiggle room to fully seat these pegs all the way flush. So note this is 3/4 inch plywood. You don't want to use this with 1/2 inch plywood with this standard depth setting because your pegs are not going to go all the way seated, and you're going to blow out the far side of your plywood. The back is also really nice because you've got that same spot that you can adjust the drill guide collar. You can also rotate this into place, and now you've got your drill bit stored there, and you've got room for one of each kind of drill bit if you want to buy a spare one, and you've got a spot for your spacer pin so you don't lose it. The only thing they didn't think to do was make the Allen key storable here, which they totally had space to do. It could have just clipped in back here. It's not a huge deal though, because I almost never adjust the stop collars on these, and this is just a standard size Allen key, so you can just put this somewhere else, and if you've got a set of Allen keys, you'll always have one on hand. So if you're working on an existing cabinet and you don't have an edge reference to put this against, but you have an existing line of holes, you can use your spacer pin. And if you have 2 kits, you can use both spacer pins like this and line up your jig. And keep drilling holes like that. Or if you don't have 2 spacer pins and only have 1 kit, you can take a 1/4 inch drill bit, stick it in an existing hole. Just make sure that you don't do this blindly because you will scratch up your cabinet otherwise. And then do the same thing. So This way you can drill 3 more holes. It's better to use these farther apart if you can, and then pull both of them out and leapfrog into these new ones, and you still get a straight line all the way up. I did this with really good success in one of my old cabinets that I had to add some holes to, and it was just a nightmare to get into. I actually taped the jig to the wall to hold it in place while I drilled with one hand because I couldn't fit 2 hands in there to drill. It was so tight quarters. So this jig is a lifesaver because when you're doing that, you can get off axis really easily. So if you have a plastic one that doesn't have metal collars, you can get a non-straight hole going in there, and then your shelf pin won't fit in at the right angle, at a 90-degree angle. So this drill guide is awesome, and you definitely want one with these hardened steel drill guides. So to attach 2 of these together, you flip them both over, and you take one of these guides, you get one with each set, and push it into place, and it's practically a press fit right there. Then you've got 4 screws with each set. This does take 6 screws. I lost my first set screws, but 4 should be enough for just connecting these 2. And then just run it in. All right, so there are a couple problems I have with the jig connectors that they made for these. I think everything else in the jig is well thought out, except for right here. Does that look straight to you? And this is just securely connected, so I'm gonna have to loosen these screws a little bit so it doesn't wobble, because if you set it down on a flat surface, it doesn't sit flat. So to fix that, we're just gonna back these screws off about a quarter turn each and give it some breathing room. And these are some self-tapping plastic screws, so there's a possibility that's the source of the misalignment here. They're just maybe not centered perfectly. Okay, we've got it able to sit flat now. There's a little bit of flex, but that shouldn't affect the distance between these 2 holes, which is what's important. So now let's check this. So I drilled all of these holes with one jig using the spacer pin here. You just put it in the last hole and leapfrog from one spot to another. So these should line up perfectly, and they do. So this spacing is right, which is really important. From the edge of the jig to the center of this pin is exactly half the distance between any 2 holes along this whole thing. So that's 32 millimeters, so it's 16 from the edge of the jig to the center here. So this thing has held up pretty well. I've done a lot of drilling with this, and you can see the plastic around the edge here is a little bit distorted from all the drilling I've done because you've got that stop collar riding up. It's a metal stop collar, and it rides up when you hit the depth against that plastic. So it is going to wear on that eventually. These are hardened steel drill guides though. I've seen 0 wear on these when it's compared to everything else. So that's the really important part, that these don't get sloppy. You've got a little bit of wear here, but I don't think it's a big deal. This thing is awesome for adding shelves to cabinets or building your own cabinets. Whichever you want to do, it's a great tool. Price point on this is $35 for the jig, the accessories, and a drill bit. You can get replacement drill bits for $10 or $11, which is actually a pretty good deal if you want to just buy a separate drill bit and have one of these guides and have both sizes of drill bit. It's a great option. Or you can go the route that I did. I wanted both drill bits, so I just bought 2 guides, and now I can connect them together. So I think this is a super well thought out jig. It's got a bunch of awesome features that really help you work quickly and efficiently and accurately. So hopefully this review is helpful. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below. And once again, don't forget to subscribe.